Are you a business looking for a fresh new way to reach potential customers? Well, you need to get airtime on IT TV, a 24/7 streaming and on-demand TV service online and on Roku. With Roku having a potential reach of 62 million people, it's a perfect opportunity to reach potential customers through affordable commercial and infomercial spots. Visit us online today at itnetwork.tv.
Good morning, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I am your host, Sharifa Hardy, and we have a very special show for you today. Some very special guests. I just love it. I love being back because it feels almost like a family reunion. When I have the opportunity to sit down and chat with some of my friends and some of my guests and find out what they're up to today. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our very first guest, Mr. Howard Walpoff. Good morning, Howard. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Sharifa. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Let everyone know who you are, what you do, and what you're passionate about.
Sure. My name is Howard Walpoff. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm a profit acceleration coach. I work with a small business owner who's really been working for too long and too hard and not seeing all the efforts of their business, the results, which we obviously have all experienced over the course of the last 18 months. And given time with them, I'm able to show them how to triple their leads, double their sales, and find $100,000 or more in their business without spending additional dollar marketing or advertising. So I'm passionate about helping others, helping business people see the vision of their business come to life, and just find different ways to help within my community as well.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Howard. I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Miss Raminderpreet Elisa. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Sharifa. Thank you.
You're welcome. Please let everyone know who you are, what you do, and what you're passionate about.
Okay, so I am truly passionate about being a yoga therapist. I've been a yoga therapist since 2000, since way before yoga therapy was a thing. And over the last 20 years, I've worked with people that have inspired me to create a program that is truly personalized. I look to the client to tell me what they need, what their lifestyle is like, what they are interested in, and I can develop a personalized yoga program, because yoga is more than just exercise. It's also breath. It's working. It's right now. It's every moment of the day. And so training people to see yoga in a new way that maybe breaks down paradigms that says, it's not for me. It's for everybody. And it doesn't matter if you can stand on your head or not. I've worked with people who are bedbound and chairbound, and so it is for everybody. And that's what I'm trying to get across.
Wow. Now, if it is for everybody, then it has to be for me, because I'm always looking for another way to incorporate some form of exercise into my day. But I'm one of those people who, it might come across as an excuse that just simply says, I don't have the time in my day to add one more thing. So what do you say to those people?
Well, do you walk your dog? Do you have a dog and you walk your dog in the morning? You can okay, but there are many people who do. And you can use that walk as a meditation. I teach people how to use that time that they're already doing something. You can cook and be present to your breath and present to what your hands are doing, present to the smells. And that is yoga. Yoga is union of mind, body, and breath. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's not an exercise. The exercise is part of it. And yes, we do incorporate movement and stuff, but I incorporate it in a way that meets a person where they are. So if they can't stand on their head, can't, fold forward and touch their toes, that's okay. I'll find something that you can do.
We got to find something that I can do, because the things that you mentioned, we're just going to rule out. I don't walk the dog. I don't walk myself. I don't cook. I'm just always on the go. I'm like, go, 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 go. I go from one meeting, from one appearance, from one speaking engagement to the next. Are there things I can do maybe while I'm driving?
Absolutely. I used to do that. I used to drive from Huntington Beach to LA all the time. And you know that can be a crazy drive. And I would practice my breathing while driving. And actually, it's really helpful to do that in the craziness of LA traffic. It really helps keep you focused and grounded and mindful. And it's valid. It's a valid form of yoga.
I didn't know that. I just kind of figured it was a valid form of meditation. Now, Howard, one of the things that I find interesting with you and Raminderpreet is that you incorporate what someone is already doing, what they already have, as opposed to going out and spending more on advertising. You look at their current website, their current platform. Would you say, Howard?
Well, you really want to get an assessment of, again, like you said, what you already have. There are things on people's websites that are functional. They're just maybe not looking at it properly, or maybe they do have to redo the website, because it's all about the messaging to the prospect who is reading it, not whether you think you've put out enough information about you. How are you speaking to them? And that really is some of the challenge that many business owners have, because they're just talking about themselves, their digital brochure, when you look at their website. But each of them do have functionalities within their business that if you just make some adjustments to it, or really just adjustments to their mindset, they can be generating additional revenues from it. And that's really the starting point for really working with a business.
Mm-hmm. So, but many people don't know what to adjust as far as their mindset. How do they get that information?
It can be sometimes a difficult conversation. You have people who really are very skilled at what they do, and they sometimes believe that translates into how they're running their business. But yet when they look up and see the revenues aren't increasing, they aren't really showing momentum that you really need to in the growth of a business, at some point they need to stop and ask for help. And that's where the challenge is. Not enough business owners ask for help. And you see that 50% of all businesses don't make it through the 5th year. And the numbers through this past 18 months have really been off the charts of business failures. But you need to really have a self-assessment of if this is working, that's fantastic. If it's not working, how do you make it work?
Mm-hmm. Did you find that, Raminderpreet, that you had to do an assessment over the last 2 years in order to make your business work?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, I've spent the last 20 years evolving a program, working with cancer patients, working with people with all sorts of conditions. And so in that time, definitely creating something different. And when I finally launched my website, Life Skills Yoga Program, it was about bringing all this together, reassessing where I wanted to focus, and really focusing on the individual, making it a unique, personalized program for each individual, what they're going through in their life. And so I do assessments of my clients when working one-on-one. I look to see what they're already doing, what's going on in their lives that they could have a new perspective on, a new mindset about. And then I use the yoga practice and the meditations and anything else we can kind of cobble together to support them in their lives.
But did you specifically have to do an assessment of your business during this COVID pandemic? Because what worked for us maybe 20, 15, 10 years ago has not necessarily worked over the last 2 years. So we can look at our clients and assess them, but did you have to assess your business? Did you pivot? Did you make changes in order to even stay in business during this time frame?
Big time pivot, all online. I went completely online. It's just not viable to go into studios these days. It's just not wise, and it's not something I want to do right now, and it's something a lot of people aren't comfortable doing. So yes, I big time pivot, went completely online, left the workshop world, left the studio world. Absolutely, yes.
Now, when you went completely online, was that Zoom sessions with you? Was that online guides? What did you transition into?
Zoom. Yeah, I went completely Zoom. I saw just what was out there, and I grabbed it. It was basically what I did. There wasn't a lot of, I moved quickly. Let's put it that way. I moved quickly. I pivoted quickly. I said, this is something I have to address right away. And I began giving free classes. I gave free classes twice a week for 6 months to help people with what they were going through the initial challenges and traumas of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. But as a business owner, how were you able to survive giving away so much for free?
I had to put a pause. I've been able to survive because I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed in my life. And I had to put a pause on everything. I had to take care of me. I had to take care of family. There's a lot of other things that came up. I was really challenged in terms of my personal life myself. So I had to put a pause. I had to put a pause because it just wasn't viable to work full time during what I was going through and what everyone else was going through. And I had to take some self-care, which is something else I teach people about self-care. And so I had to look at myself first and what was going on in my life. And I just took a pause. Aside from those classes that I donated to the community, I took a pause for myself.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned you teach people how to do self-care. What are some of the techniques that you use?
There's so many possibilities. Again, it depends on the individual, but it could be something as simple as, a wonderful hot soak in Epsom salts and oils. It can be as simple as, having my good old juice in the morning, self-care, but being mindful about it, not just doing things and getting, food in me. It's like mindful about it, being mindful. And that's really the key to any practice is mindfulness. And so it can really be a wide array of things. It really just depends on the individual. And so for me, hot soak in a wonderful bathtub is great. What I'm eating, what I'm putting in my body, the people I'm around and choose to be around is also self-care. I don't want to be around people that are going to be pulling me down or too negative. And that doesn't mean, I turn away from people who are negative, because I don't. But limited bites to where I'm not going to be hurting myself.
You got to limit the access to the negative people.
Absolutely.
Howard, I'm sure you've been practicing some kind of self-care during this time frame. What does self-care look like for you?
Different things at different times. Over the course of the summer, based on where I shifted, where I was working out of, I realized that there was a pool. And I have a schedule that worked for me, so that every morning I'd start off and I'd go swimming, and I'd start my day swimming. And I was part of me I was focusing on losing weight, focusing on getting back into shape, and just being healthy and finding something for me every day. And then I was walking on the weekends. I do these 5-mile walks on Saturday and Sunday. And those are very helpful if I can continue to do this on a regular basis. That always doesn't work. I paused on swimming, even though I'm in Florida and still can, and moving on to a couple of different things just based on the scale. I lost a few minutes in the morning, which changes things up. But that definitely helped me keep my head together over the course of the summer.
Sure. Wow. Now, we also talked about making that pivot and transition to focusing online. With the people that you were working with, did you see more of them going online, and how were you able to assist them to go into a different direction?
Being online was very important for everybody, whether some of you were doing already or hadn't done before. So there were clients that we were developing different types of programs so that they could continue services online, whether it's one-on-one or within groups. I spent a lot of time, I jumped heavily into online networking and was able to help a lot of different people in a national organization that I became a part of, and started running groups in different markets around the country. And it was a great way to keep business connectivity going when you couldn't, and especially didn't want to go to a local networking event. Now things are evolving from there. It still is going strong, but at some point, the value of how you're able to get to know people online in that respect, much better than going to a live networking event, will keep this going for them. With regards to clients, it really has been a growth opportunity for them to create different types of offers and different types of services they hadn't been providing before, and will keep on doing as time goes on.
Now, do you find that many people, Howard, find it difficult to network? One of the things that I see people do is they just walk up to you, or even online, they start off with their business. They start off with, this is what I do, this is what I sell, schedule a calendar, let's talk, let's have a meeting. But I don't feel that it's the same effort to get to know someone, to get to know who they are, to have a conversation. It's just like if you were out offline and you're sitting somewhere and somebody just walks up and pushes a business card in your face. It's like, okay, I don't even know who you are. Like, why are you starting with the business? How can you assist people to start with networking?
Well, just going back to some things you said, I have been to live networking events, and I have had people grab their business card and try to hand it to me as part of the conversation at the beginning. And then you also do not know who to move to find the right people to speak to. With that said, networking events are about networking. It's not about selling. It's not about walking away with a sale or a prospective sale from these conversations. You may visualize prospects in the process, but the goal is to make relationships. The sale shouldn't be coming from the individual you're talking to. It should be coming 2-3 people down the line as you get involved in their network and have a continual conversation, have a one-on-one. So the one-on-ones are important, but get to know who they are and what they're about and who else they know. And if I'm trying to find CPAs and they are they're not a CPA, but they may have relationships with CPAs, building that relationship with them will then make them feel comfortable enough to refer you to some of their contacts moving forward, whether that's in person or online. The one big thing that I really enjoyed about the online networking is that if you go into a group, let's say it's a let's call it a networking mixer. There's 100 people in a bar and you're walking around. You really don't know who to walk up to just to have a conversation with. And you may walk into groups that there really is no connectivity and it's not there. It feels like a dating experience more than a business experience. With the online networking, you're put into these groups of 5-6 people, and there's a lot of immediate interaction. And if you are the shyest person in the room who's not going to talk to a single person at a networking event out indoors, you can actually make contacts and make relationships and grow your network and in this capacity, because your stage is yours and you don't have to worry about anyone judging you because it's your 2 minutes to talk. So it's really been rewarding to see that, and also just the kind of relationships that developed out of the events I've been a part of.
Wow, interesting. How about you, young lady? Have you been doing any online networking during this time frame?
Yes, I've been doing, a few shows like these. I've been definitely, yes. Not a whole lot of them. Again, these last 2 years have been difficult and for everybody, and so I did take a pause. But yes, I have been doing some networking. I have different. The Long Beach Holistic Chamber of Commerce that I'm a part of, and different organizations like that. I'm with IOIT, the International Association of Yoga Therapists, and Yoga Alliance, and they do a lot of networking events as well for its members, of which I am. And so, yeah, I enjoy it. I've really been enjoying the new transition. I think a lot of people are in Zoom overkill, but I enjoy it. I've been enjoying it and meeting people in this realm. I do believe, like what Howard was saying, that there's a platform for really being able to interact with people in a different way that's beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said you didn't do much networking. Now, but you also offered free classes. You were there to support people. What are some of the ways that you found worked for you in reaching out to potential clients?
I have a long list of people that I've met over the years, and reaching out to them. I have a nice long contacts list. I have, like I said, organizations that I'm a member of that have helped to reach out and to interact. Alumni organizations and all sorts of groups that I've been a part of over the years that I've reached out to.
So it's the groups. The groups are key, would you say?
In my situation, yes, definitely.
How about you, Howard? Groups? Is it the groups?
For me, there are different organizations I've reached out to, but the individual groups have been the mainstay for me. Like, I found a group in May of 2020, and I evolved into be a co-host for an event very soon after, and a co-host captain running different events in different states. And I've been on different other groups as well, but the groups is what leads to the one-on-ones and the individual relationships. At least that's been my experience this last 18 months.
Have you seen, just with trends, Howard, and working with different business owners, have you seen trends across the board as far as some of the changes or the pivots people have made in order to remain in business?
Some, obviously, finding different ways using Zoom has been important, whether that's for a class situation, whether it's for a one-on-one estimate situation. So people walking around their house to show what the problem is, and not coming into the house at certain times, and things got a little easier, and then people came in with masks. So as that evolved, it was coming up with the policy and then promoting the policy that you have. That's with that, how clean the equipment is, what kind of sanitizing the workers do coming into your house. All of this was the focus really was, how do you make the customer comfortable? How do you make the prospect comfortable? And there are different types of pivots that were very successful to do that. Lots of teledoc opportunities, even for medical situations where it would be better to be one-on-one with a stethoscope and other things, but you're able to make do to make sure that people were healthy and comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Did you make changes to your business?
I did a lot more online, and really, what it did for me is it opened up the map, where theoretically there were clients I had in different places, but I kind of had a radius of where I was focusing on back in February, March of 2020. This now opened it up to the entire country, because I always was very comfortable doing video conferencing and video chats. I was on Skype for years doing conversations. I got a job based on interviewing on Skype in a different state. Not everyone was. No, and the people weren't always comfortable doing this, but because everyone got forced onto Zoom, now there may be some Zoom withdrawal. I have a client that insists that we need to meet in person. I can't do Zoom anymore. It's enough already. I'm not fully comfortable with that, so we're figuring that out. But it's now that people are more comfortable online, it really opens a lot of doors.
Mm-hmm. And Ms. Raminderpreet, where you laughed, I saw you kind of chuckle when Howard said the Zoom withdrawal. Have you found that to be true as well?
No, not myself. No. Again, and I loved what Howard said about, yes, being able to open up the scope of people I serve. It used to be only, limited to the tiny communities that I'm living in. And this has opened it up definitely nationwide, and even internationally. But no, I haven't found that too much, because I think that the communities that I serve don't tend to be on Zoom an awful lot. The cancer community, for example, a lot of them aren't working. They're home, they're healing, they're helping themselves. So they're happy to have somebody to communicate with and reach out to during the day. And that's what I found also in the classes that I was donating last year, that people were really happy to be interacting with others. And we developed a nice little community. And it is a way to build community. And that's how I've seen it. And people that I've been serving have been appreciating the community that we create online.
How do you reach people who are, like you said, the cancer community? These are people who are in the house, they're sick, they're not on Zoom, they're not on the computer. How do you reach those people?
Well, personally, myself, I am tied with an organization called WeSpark Community Center, Cancer Support Center, and they're a wonderful organization. And they went completely online when COVID hit, and they have their community of people that they serve. And so I just kind of flowed with them. I've been with them for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's a wonderful community, and that's the cancer community that I serve. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. How do you reach new people, Howard?
You're always trying to get creative with that. Sometimes it's through engaging differently on social media. Right now, I just returned to be a online TV segment host for a website called dailyadbrief.com. And I'm hosting the interviews I'm doing with CEOs and owners of marketing and advertising agencies. So it's a change in the visual of what I'm posting on LinkedIn and Facebook, and people are interacting with me a little bit differently because of that. A lot of different interaction in Facebook groups, different sites like Alignable. I also will do a little research on different types of business owners within different communities and reach out to them in different ways. And don't want to call it the cold call, but a nice connection to start a conversation.
Don't want to call it the cold call. So I guess we have to come up for a different phrase. But did you find that it was more of a need for you to actually kind of get out of this, comfort zone? I don't know if you were in a comfort zone before, but I just want to call it a comfort zone of where we could just go to our warm market, to people around us, and we had to look for additional ways to reach out to people. Hence, not the cold call, but just having a conversation with people.
It definitely made for me personally, yes. For some clients, yes. For people that I know in different industries, they had to get a little bit more creative, because at certain places people just stop calling. I had a client who, and sometimes even worse, I had a client who does catering for parties. They do the staffing for it, and we were on the phone that week in March. And I remember that one day, okay, people are nervous, but everything seems to be fine. We might have to change some dates, no big deal. 24 hours later, they all called back and wanted their deposits back. Her whole business changed in an instant, and now things are back on running full force again. But it was a very dark period from that point of what do I do? There's been no money coming in whatsoever, where there was a consistent flow, and I also had employees to feed, to pay for as well, that now there's no jobs for them to go on to. So you have to, there was a lot of different types of pivots that people were doing, but you need to find different ways to, not even in a pandemic, at a certain point, you can't be doing the same thing over and over again. You need to always get creative. There's a lot of different outlets that keep popping up to get yourself out there. There were more opportunities to speak virtually that you didn't have to fly around to different events and be a speaker at. So that opened up some doors for me as well.
Do you feel like you will continue to do more of the virtual speaking? Because for me, I kind of got used to this virtual speaking environment. I got used to booking, more than one appearance in a day, because I don't have to drive or I don't have to commute. So for me, it would be difficult to go back to doing as much offline as I did before. How about you, Howard?
I found there was an incredible efficiency for these Zoom meetings. So even if you're looking at, aside from just general speaking engagements, just a meeting schedule, If you had 4 meetings in the day, that would be a busy day, and you're driving back and forth, and depending on what market you're in, you may not be able to pull off 4 meetings in a day with the driving that you have to go in. I was able to have, in a very exhausting day, 7 Zooms in a row, back to back to back, and you had to watch that time because everyone was on time. If you had something at 11:30, people were clicking on at 11:30, and you didn't have to have that travel time in between. So you can be extremely efficient by doing this and continue to do this if this becomes what makes you comfortable and makes other people comfortable. And that doesn't have to be breathing air and COVID related. It could just be logistically for my business. I don't want to drive my car to waste time. We can be as efficient here. And if there's something that needs to go out to, I'll make an exception every once in a while.
Absolutely. How about you, Raminderpreet?
Oh, yeah. Well, I never say never. I think someday I'd love to get back into doing personal workshops and one-on-ones with my clients because as a yoga therapist, it really helps me to be in the room with a person, get the feel for where their body is, so that I can make adjustments to any practice that they may need based on any physical limitations. It does help, but it's not either or. It's either way. It's a good experience, and I like you, I've grown accustomed to being online, and I am enjoying it. So I will ride this wave for as long as I can. But yeah, someday it would be nice to start getting back to offering workshops in person and meeting with clients in person eventually.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I know just especially with yoga, it's a very, I don't want to use the word intimate, but it's very close where you have that interaction with the teacher, with the student, and you look at the form and how their body is flowing. It may not be as easy to do it through Zoom or over the computer, so you may miss that interaction. So I think that's wonderful, definitely, for you to be able to go back in. Now, when you are working with your clients through the Zoom sessions, are these group sessions where multiple people log into the Zoom, or are they still one-on-one sessions?
Both. Okay. Both. I do both. I do group and I do one-on-one sessions. And on my website, I offer both. I offer a group chair yoga and then a group general class. And then I have a private sessions that I offer. And then I have my signature life skills yoga program, which is also private and personalized to the individual.
What are some of the life skills?
Life skills, great question. Things like forgiveness, looking at forgiveness of self. These things are things that come up in a yoga practice. I used to have people that would just, in the middle of a yoga practice, start crying. And because a lot of emotions can be stimulated through certain movements. And so I've learned to work with that and see how I can help people find a greater sense of peace and release anything that's going on in mentally, emotionally, physically, because we do hold our emotions in the body. So some movements, as they start to move, certain emotions will be released, and knowing how to work with that person is really important, to honor where they are and work with them where they are, and to be able to help them see, maybe through a variety of skills. Like I said, forgiveness is one, and self-care is a life skill. Looking at how we interpret conversations with people is a life skill. So there's a variety of them, and I kind of line them out in my program. So yeah.
No, it's interesting. Where do you see your business going? Say the next 5 to 10 years. What would you like to see happen?
I just would love to continue to work with people one-on-one, helping them to find peace and joy and abundance. And abundance isn't always financial. Abundance is abundance of peace, abundance of health, abundance of calm, inner calm, all these things. So yeah, just continuing on this path, working with people is really my passion. Letting them know that this program, any yoga, can be for anybody. It's just a matter of knowing how to bring it into your life, knowing how to interpret different ways of doing yoga that you may not have been aware of. Even, things like working at a soup kitchen can be yoga. That's called karma yoga.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was yoga, karma yoga. So
Karma
basically
yoga.
is when you're doing any work where you're giving back to others.
Where you're serving. Yeah. And you're doing it mindfully. You're not just doing it to do it, right? To get hours or whatever. You're actually present and you're mindful about what you're doing and really looking to serve others. That's karma yoga. Reading certain materials that inspire you. That's jnana yoga. So there's a lot of opportunity for people who say yoga is not for them, where I say, well, let's revisit that. I think it is.
Yes. Oh, interesting. Did you know that, Howard? Did you know all these different forms of yoga?
I knew there were different types of yoga. I didn't know that some of them more conceptual with just thought than the body and motion that I've seen from the different types of yogas I've come across. But I've done very little yoga. I'm in need of more stretching. I used to do stretching programs when I was younger and really working out on a regular basis, but I'm not these days, unfortunately.
Oh, wow. But what you do, I believe everyone can definitely appreciate. Now, what are some strategies, Howard, that you have for anyone who is in business and they're struggling to create the revenue or the clientele that they would like? Are there any suggestions you're able to offer them?
Well, I always come with a number of different strategies that can be implemented into any business. First and foremost, it starts with your website. If you don't have a website, that's a problem. If you have a website that you haven't edited in 6 years, that's a problem. But the website needs to be something that speaks to the person coming to the website. I think we've all done searches and you go and look at a website and it either doesn't tell you anything or it looks too old or even worse, it's too fancy. Things are flying over across the screen. It just gets annoying, especially if you're looking on your phone. You need information. You want something that speaks to you. There is something called the conversion equation. And if you're not using it in a website, in an advertisement, in anything you're providing in front of a prospect, you're not going to be able to start a conversation with them because they're doing their search because they have two things really going on in their head. There's a problem they have they don't want and a result they want they don't have. If you can speak to those two thoughts, then they want to talk to you and learn more. If you can't and if you don't, then they don't want to. So you need to figure out how to make your website something that starts a conversation, really a 24/7 salesperson as opposed to just a digital brochure. So it's important to have that in there, but you need to speak to people and figure out how to communicate with them so that that they become prospects and figure out how it feeds your prospect funnel. So that's really first and foremost. And a lot of the other strategies I have go into looking at your pricing, your offers, how you are looking at creating different revenue and really generating relationships so that they are helping you bring in business at the same time.
Yes, I hear what you're saying, but many people feel like they don't know the difference between having a conversation and just being a brochure. What are some basic skills that they can utilize to determine the difference on their website?
And that's really key. You want to kind of clean off the desktop, and I say that it has to be very clear. And so if they have these two questions in their head, you want to address them. So you want a headline when someone gets to your website that speaks to these two issues, and you want a subheadline that really reinforces it that you may have the answers that they're looking for. You then want to have a pitch to them, which primarily is best done in a video, but you're also going to have the text there as well, because people will find time to watch a video as opposed to reading information you're providing them. And then really it's an offer, something that's irresistible, they can't say no to. Now that most of the time isn't do business with me. Again, use an example of what we talked about with networking. You're not coming in and handing your business card out, but you want to show them that there's value to what you provide and let them learn about that value first before they think about doing business with you, and they can really help them educate them about doing business with you. So it usually is some sort of a white paper, a report, a PDF, of 5 the reasons to, something that is so easy to engage with, easy for them to absorb, and but is a value to them to actually read, because they're trading something valuable in return, and that's their name and email address. And once you have that, they become a prospect. It's not someone invisible that came to your website and then left. You then can engage them in conversation, really setting up an autoresponder and an email system of a whole array of messaging to them that they get on a regular basis to start the conversation and keep you top of mind. If there are 5 different plumbers they're looking at, but there's one that's sharing tips with them on a regular basis, when it comes to them finally making a decision of who to redo the plumbing in their house, you have a leg up.
Yes. Okay. You mentioned a plumber. Now, so often, this is interesting, Howard, because
plumbers are always my example. That's why I laughed.
No. I love plumbers. That's one of the businesses that I focus on. But certain industries, handyman, plumber, gardener, they don't understand how to, they just kind of do what they do, and I don't want to generalize, but they just kind of do what they do. They go fix the plumbing, but they don't necessarily look at it as how they can provide tips to other people. Do you have any recommendations as far as for any industry, ways for them to come up with tips or information to offer? Because so often, we'll say the money's in the newsletter, the money is in the mailing list, but the question then becomes, what do I say?
A lot of it has been created for you. So my key shortcut. My key shortcut is find someone that's doing something similar to you and successfully, and in a very different market and very different part of the country, and take a look. And I always find copying is always the best form of flattery. And here's the video that they put on YouTube 5 years ago, top 5 tips to make sure your pipes don't leak. That might be a good resource to start with. And there's other resources to blend into it. You don't want to just blatantly copy somebody. I've seen commercials on TV that blatantly been copied from other markets, and they've non-blatantly been sued for it. But you want to make sure that you're gathering your information, and it's not so hard. And there are people, if you really need, there are copywriters that can write things for you very quickly and very inexpensively. So it looks like your work, and then you set it up in an autoresponder, and when they get that first email, here it is, that report that is going to make them think more of you.
Absolutely. Raminderpreet, how do you get out the word? And do you have a newsletter, a mailing list? What are some of the strategies that you utilize?
Yeah. Well, on my website, I do have a page of videos that I offer as free, wonderful information. I teach a long, deep breathing meditation on one of my videos. I do a breath of fire type video, which is a different form of breath practice. I have videos on there about, what is a mudra and why do you want to do it and how does it affect your body? Mudras are finger positions that we do in various yoga postures.
I want to go back to the breath of fire. What is breath of fire? Is that hot breath? Is that garlic breath? What is breath of fire?
It's a very quick breath that you do. It's kind of like a puppy breath, but with your mouth closed, and it sounds like this. And you do that for a minute or two in between, like you were saying, what can you do in between meetings? You can do a breath of fire, time it for a minute or 3 minutes, and it gives you energy. It's a great way to build energy. It works on the nervous system and really helps to stimulate energy in the body very, very quickly. And it's really beneficial. Get some oxygen to the brain as well, which, often if we're sleepy or tired or listless, it's because we need some oxygen. That's why you start to yawn, right? It's like, get that going to the brain. Yeah. So I have different videos that I offer as gifts to people who, they may not have time to come to my class or are kind of wondering what my class is like. They go to those videos and they'll know what my class is about and they'll know what I'm about. Mantra is chanting. And the reason we chant is we're activating the pineal gland in the palate. So, and it helps to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. So all these things that I bring, I'm very science-based. I focus on the research that's been done out there. That you go to PubMed, there's over 6,000 research papers in the medical system on yoga, meditation, breath work. Anybody who wishes to look at that can do a search. But so that's what that I offer those opportunities for people to get a good idea before committing to a class of who I am, and they'll understand where I'm coming from once they come into the class. And if I say, we're going to do Breath of Fire, well, they can go see the video, learn how to do it, and then come to class and be able to just drop right in.
I'm going to have to go check out one of those Breath of Fire videos so I can learn how to do it myself. Maybe that'll calm me down in some instances. Yes. Well, we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching this show live, as well as everyone who is watching in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we're going to start with you, Raminderpreet.
Okay. So I would just love to have people come, and I'd love to meet you and get to know you. Whatever is going on in your life, if you feel burnt out, if you have anxiety, if you never thought that yoga could be for you, and whatever challenges are going on in your life, yoga can help. It's helped me. I've gone through tremendous stresses in my life and challenges in my life, and I've always relied on my yoga practice, and I integrate spiritual psychology into the yoga practice, which is the forgiveness aspect and the self-care aspect and all those aspects of looking at the whole person. This is truly a holistic practice. It's not just going in and doing headstands and handstands. This is really about looking at the whole person and everything that's going on in your life and being able to create something that's special to you so that you can do a yoga practice in whatever way you want to do it and however often you choose to, and to teach you how to, create your own based on the skills that I give you. It's an 8-week program. The signature program is an 8-week program, and I give you the skills to understand what yoga is, how it can help you, the life skills that you can introduce into your practice, so that you too can find greater calm, greater health and well-being. Yeah.
Thank you. Howard, what would you like our listeners to take away from?
Well, I hope that those that are small business owners understand that if there are issues and problems going on in their business, then it's okay to stop and ask questions, and make sure you're asking the questions to the right people to make sure that you're getting some results for having taken that opportunity. My website is profitmasterbusinesssolutions.com. I'm always open to answer questions for you. If you are a business owner or if you're an entrepreneur and concerned that the things you need as a business owner, you never were taught in college. They usually don't teach Business Owner 101 in college or in business school. I was having a conversation with someone, actually a someone called me as an alumni of my college yesterday. I met with them on Zoom, and they connected me through LinkedIn and talk about the things that they're not learning they want to be when they move on and grow up. I actually have a course to teach business owners how to develop and market their businesses. Very simply, collegedidn'tteachyou.com is where you can find it. And if you have any questions, you can get some answers there or reach out to me directly.
I love it. collegedidn'tteachyou.com. I have to go check it out. I'm curious as far as what college didn't teach me. Want to thank you all for being guests on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. And I especially want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch the show live and everyone who is watching the show in the archives. Please support our guests. Visit their websites, follow them on social media, reach out to them. And when you do, please let them know Sharifa Hardy says hi. Now, if you're interested in more information on how I can help your business or how you can be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show, please visit my website at ashsharifa.com. Until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, everyone have a safe and a blessed day. Bye now.